Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's Life Conversations with a Twist. I have my friend Melanie here. I haven't seen her in years. We were just saying, I see you from afar. I'm like your little fan club on social media.
That's nice of you. Hi, excited to be here today.
So Melanie and I met way back in my Encore days. Well, she was an employee of Glow Event Designer. She was part of the planning team, and now she's the owner. And I'm just so inspired by her journey. Her and I got a chance to interview her at a previous job, and I just love your story and
Oh,
what you're doing in the industry. And so I'm just thankful for you to come on my podcast.
well, thank you for having me. Yeah, I think when we met, I was a senior wedding planner. I think that was my job title back
And here
then.
you are, a little Miss Badass, badass owner. So talk us
Oh, so
through a
great.
little bit like how you even got here, like maybe a little bit about what you did before this, and then kind of lead into your journey of being an owner.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think to start, for anyone that doesn't know who Glow is, maybe that's a good place to
That's a
start
good
and just
place to
kind of
start. Yeah.
a good place
I'm
to
like, doesn't
start. Yeah.
everyone know who she is?
I'm like, probably not. I don't know. But yeah, so Glow, we're a boutique event agency based here in the Bay Area, and we have a really strong focus on design, and always have from the time we started. We were founded in 2010, so we actually are hitting our 15th birthday this year, which is so exciting.
So exciting.
Um, yeah, super exciting. So we're really boutique. We started as a wedding planning company. We're now pretty much almost all corporate. I would say
Mhm.
95% corporate is our business. And we have kind of carved out this little niche, I would say, in the industry where we approach these events in a really bespoke way. I was trying to think of a comparison the other day, and I was like, I think that there's a lot of these big corporate agencies, not to throw anyone under the bus. I think everyone's great and everyone has a place, but we have all these really mega agencies that have existed for a while, and they are, they kind of have their template of like, this is what your event's going to look like, almost like if you were to get a model home or something. Like you pick it, you can kind of customize a few things. And you're like, this is the event. And for Glow, we're kind of like custom building every single event. You're kind of, we start from the basics. We're not going to tell you how much anything's going to cost right away, which I think can be a little off-putting to people, potentially up front, but also kind of exciting where we're like, we just want to get to know you first. Like, don't have us price out, what your event's going to look like, until we actually know what your goals are and what your vision is and all of that. So that's kind of us. I would say this very bespoke boutique event agency. Still, I would say small-ish. I have 14 employees, and yeah, we're just kind of doing our thing every year, which is it's been fun. I was an event planner for over a decade. Well, I guess maybe to start. So now I am the owner of Glow, and I'm running this company. And so how I got here. So I had for about a decade, I had been an event producer. I had worked at various event agencies, corporate, and then I joined Glow as that senior wedding planner. We were doing weddings, and I did weddings for a couple of years, and I thought that was exactly what I wanted to do. And I realized I actually liked the corporate that I was doing in my previous jobs. But I also loved the company, and I loved, our values and what we were doing and where we were in the industry. I had some conversations with our founder at the time, and I was like, I feel like we could really do more with the corporate. And we can, approach it in the same design way that we've been taking weddings. And so we started doing corporate, and we started really small. I would say for everyone trying to, get into corporate, it's like just start small, start with something. And then we really, I think it was just based off of reputation, and referrals and repeat clients, we grew that piece of business. And still today, that's kind of how our business is we do know marketing, we do know outbound sales. Every piece of business that comes into Glow is repeat clients. I think that's about 60 to 70% of our business, which is just a huge testament to the work that we do.
Yeah.
And then the remaining 30% that comes in each year, that's referrals from existing clients where sometimes they joke around. They're like, I don't really want to refer you because I'm afraid then you're not going to have the capacity to, to do all of my events. Or for vendor partners, which that's also something that I have a lot of pride in is just the reputation we have amongst all of the vendors that we work with of just being kind, good, organized, nice event planners. And yeah, so that's kind of where we are now. How did I
And then
go?
how did you buy? And then like, okay, so Chris, your previous owner, I don't know, I don't want to say her name,
You
but
can say Christina. We,
okay,
we love
Christina.
Christina. I
She
just had coffee with her last week. She's like such a dear, close mentor to me. She is an incredible human being. You can say her name as much as you want. We
she's
love
doing a lot of
Christina.
cool things. She's actually been on my
She is.
podcast. I think she was on it maybe like last season, so it's been a minute, but I
Yeah,
love what she's doing.
she is such a badass woman. And I tell her that every single time. I'm like, you are inspiring. Uh she's just been a role model to me since the beginning of time. Like I moved to San Francisco and immediately started working with her. Before that I was in Dallas, and um she's just always been a role model to me. Like I feel like I just kind of follow her in life, and I kind of joke around by that. Like she's always just like 4 or 5 years ahead of me, and I'm like, okay, so what are we doing now? Like what advice can you give me now? What should I be doing now? Even still, we're at coffee, and I'm like, okay, what's our next phase of life? Like, where are we going?
You're all because I'm right behind you. I have a best
Yeah.
friend that's the same way. Like I feel like I follow her journey and I just love like she's very inspiring to me as like especially as like a best friend. And I think it's so good to like have a mentor
Oh,
that
you
can
need
help
it.
lead you in the path that you want to go. So I love that you guys are still connected. I had no doubt that that was even a thing. How
Yeah.
did that even get to a point where like here you are as the owner now?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Christina is an incredible entrepreneur. I would say she is a builder, and she is going to probably build something else. Like that is what she does. She's the entrepreneur, she's the builder, and she built this really great company that I was, able to be a part of. And we got to the pandemic, and she felt like she had kind of, done her thing. She was like, I feel really accomplished with what I've created and what I've built. And she was in her motherhood journey, still is. She was pregnant with her second, and she was like, you know what? Like I don't know if I have the energy and what it needs right now to take this company through the pandemic. It was a really scary time. And me just kind of following in her footsteps, I was like, well, I think I could, take a stab at that. Just no idea what I was getting myself into. I was
Well,
like,
we also didn't know what the pandemic was going to be like.
we didn't. No, not at all. And I definitely knew the pandemic was going to be here to stay. Like I think we started having conversations about me taking Glow in April or May of 2020. So we were just right in the middle of it. All of our events had been canceled. We were all at home. No vaccine in sight. It just nothing was happening. But we had started to launch a virtual events side of the business, which ultimately got us through the pandemic and allowed us to be able to stay a healthy company, keep some of our core team members, and be ready for in-person events when we were finally able to do them. And it was like May, June of 2021, just a crazy amount of time that we couldn't produce events. Now looking back, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we did that. Um,
Also, who like
so
buys an event planning business
I mean, we had
during
nothing else
COVID?
going on, right? It's like, what else are you going to do? You're going to watch a
Totally.
Netflix show, or you're going to figure out how to run a company, right?
Yeah.
Everyone had to take their hobbies. I think we were doing sourdough bread starters and gardening. And then I was like, yeah, and then I'll just figure out this like company thing. Why not? No, I really didn't know what I was doing in full transparency. And I think that that's fine to say. I'm really proud of what I've accomplished over the past 5 years. And looking back, I can look at it and I can kind of let anyone else knowing like starting something like this, the best advice Christina ever gave me, where I think I had a moment where I was like, I just don't think I can do this. This is so hard. I had a couple of employees. I'd been running the company at this point, I think, for 6 months, and I had the two employees that I decided to keep on. Both of them put in their 2 weeks notice at the same time. And so I was by myself and I had no employees and I had all of these clients and contracts that we needed to execute on. And I was like, how am I going to do this? Like, I now need to run this company and I have no employees and we're in the middle of this pandemic and I'm so overwhelmed. Like, this is not what I signed up for. I don't know if I can actually do this. I feel like I'm way in over my head. So I called Christina and I was like, I can't do this. Like, this is too hard. And she said back to me, she was like, one, you can, and I know you can. And then she said, but also stop trying to run the company the way that I ran it. This is now your company and you can run it any way you want. She goes, I had a direction and I had a way that I wanted to do things. And that was because those were the things I enjoyed doing every day. Those were the things that I wanted to come into the office and work on. Those might not be the same things that you want to do. And so if you don't want to make your company, a 10-person team, don't. You could have it as a one-person team. It could be you and one other person, and you could just do virtual events until the end of time. And that could be your company. Like make it what you want and then and go from there.
Mhm.
And I think just getting that permission from someone that I just have the utmost respect for and I truly, idolize, I was like, okay. And this was her, and it's her company too, right? And so you also are like, this is something that's really precious, and I don't want to mess it up. And her kind of giving me that permission to just make it my own, really led me into the way that I've kind of, taken the company over the next 5 years.
That's so cool. I love her so much. What a doll.
Me too. She's the
Yeah.
best.
And now
Yeah.
you're killing it and you have 14 employees. And one thing that I've always admired from afar is that you really do a lot for your employees. I think I would love to hear your thoughts about how to um, keep the motivation, keep that like good like juju going in within your team and keeping them engaged. And if for people listening and they're not in the events industry, it's not an easy job, especially
Mm-mm.
doing events. They're long hours.
No.
You're dealing with clients. Sometimes you're dealing with weather elements. Like, how do you keep your employees engaged and happy? And I cannot wait to hear what you have to say about this.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we do a lot of fun things to start. So I think some of the we I try to incentivize the team. If we hit goals, we hit them together. And so, we just actually got back from Palm Springs. We did our team retreat there a couple of weeks ago. We went to the Parker and had a lovely time for I think 4 days, which was just a great way to celebrate. It was so fun. Just a great way to celebrate last year. The year prior, we went to Hawaii, which was really fun. And the year before that, we did Disneyland and we did the VIP tour, where you go and, you know, cut all the lines and can just go on any ride you want, snap with your fingers. So we will do fun, like big retreats at the end of every year. I think those are really important. One, because when we're in those really tough times in production, typically our fall, you're kind of like at your wits' end. You're like, I am so tired. I'm so fatigued. How much more can we do? And then we just kind of think about like, okay, Hawaii is in the horizon. Palm Springs, we're coming for you, right? So it is a little bit of a motivation, I think, for all of us. Of like, it doesn't always feel this way. We just have these waves of time where, it's the natural cycles of our industry. There's just going to be peak times where it's really busy, and then we're going to have down times where it's slow. And just understanding what those cycles are and being comfortable with them, I think makes it possible for anyone to just stay in the industry, just knowing the chaos is not always chaos. So one, we'll do trips like that. But I think really, the kind of the origin of doing trips and incentivizing the employees in that way and, rewarding them and trying to create a fun culture is, I think, you talking about our industry, it's tough, it's stressful. And being the event producer first before the business owner, and having those grueling long hours, being on site, and even just in the pre-planning, things get stressful. Um, Knowing that your job is stressful enough, we don't need to make it even more stressful on the internal company side of things. And trying to kind of have that mindset of like our clients can be stressful, our work can be stressful, but when we come into the office every day, let's not make that stressful. Like and we're an all female team. And so, girls can get catty and you can have those like that mean girl energy sometimes, which I hate. And so I've really made this point of, making Glow feel like a really safe place for all of the employees that come in every day. And we have a lot of, team values that we actually recite every week during our all hands meeting, almost like a sorority. But it's it really is like some of them are just just like being a good person and not gossiping or talking poorly about others. And so I would say the trips that we do and the big things that you kind of like see on our Instagram are it's I think a small piece of what we're doing all year round. And I think that you could go on a trip. I mean, any employer, you could take your team on a trip, but if your culture is awful, no one's actually going to have a fun time. No one's going to want to be there. Everyone's going to be on this really nice vacation and they're all going to be thinking that whatever you're saying is fake and, not genuine and won't actually want to, be together. And so I think it's more important to not just reward your employees for something big, but making sure that you are being intentional every single day and in every single interaction, and showing appreciation and gratitude to your team in just even the small ways. I mean, it can be as simple as for us, since we have really long hours, knowing when someone's been on site until 2 in the morning and not expecting them to be in the office or online at 9 a.m. Right? When I talk to them at 11 a.m., if they haven't been online, instead of me pointing fingers and saying like, where have you been all morning? That it's like, how are you doing? How was last night? Like, have you slept? Are you doing okay? Do you need a coffee? Do you need a rest? Just having that empathy for every single person and recognizing like we're all just humans trying our best. I think goes a really long way. And then I think also having that team mentality is something that is really important, especially in the industry that we're in, where they feel like if they are overwhelmed or there's too much on their plate, it's appropriate to ask for help and ask for support, and that there's a support system there that's willing to lend a hand and willing to jump in, and that it doesn't feel like a chore. It feels like just kind of, we're all family and we do this for each other. And so then, I think all of that translates to then you see us on these fun trips, and a lot of our vendors and clients will joke around like, are you all really like that happy? Like, are you all really like that good
Yeah.
of friends? You're not like faking it for the Instagram. Like you all really like each other. And I can truly say like we all really like each other. We like hanging out with each other. We have this really cool culture. But it comes from those like every single day interactions. It doesn't come from just like being on a trip with each other once a year.
I love that so much. That's so cool. I think and it's for any industry, right? It's like how you treat your team is how like what you're gonna get from them as well. And I love that.
Yeah.
Besides your team and besides amazing Christina, as a business owner, I know that it gets, and I'm in this world right now, very lonely because you feel like you're on a solo island dealing with all of the things that come at you. Do you have mentors or people in your circle that you rely on or support each other during some of these fun business adventures?
Yeah, I mean, I think the one, Christina and I truly were doing mentor chats, I think for the first three years I was running the company monthly. We were on the phone and that was so helpful. Um, but then, on top of that, now we've kind of, scaled it back to quarterly, which I think it works. But having other business owners, I think is important. It doesn't even have to be in your exact industry, but because likely you're still going through the same thing. So I do coffee chats and lunches with a lot of other business owners in the industry, or vendors that you know they don't have to run an event firm. They could be running like a rental company or a catering company, or other subsets. But just having someone that you can kind of chat with about the things you're going through, I think is really helpful, because it is a very lonely job.
That's great advice. I never even thought of that.
Yeah.
Um, It's great advice. Okay, I want to ask you one more question as being a business owner. What is the like what out of everything that you do, like designing, running a team, all of that, what's your most favorite part?
I think it's the running the team and then the data and the statistics and the strategy, which is so weird for me to be saying because none of that is my background.
Well, and
Where,
you also said you're like, I never thought I'd run a team or I didn't want to
I
run a team. And here you are
never.
running a team and
Yeah.
that's your favorite thing.
I know it is so wild. Yeah, I thought I was going to be an event planner forever. I was like, I studied event planning in college. I went into it right out of, I got my first agency job right when I graduated. I did that and, just nonstop. Like I never had a break of doing event planning until we got to the pandemic. And then it was, do you want to run a company? And it's
Sure.
like, okay, sure.
Sure.
Let's figure that out. And so yeah, it's really interesting that now I'm not, now I actually don't do any event planning for Glow. That's all on the team because, running a company is actually a full-time job. And I truly do not have the capacity to be, planning events, designing, and honestly, my team that I've built I can now say is better than me at a lot of that. And I think that that's a really cool place to be.
Isn't it funny? Like I always tell people that all the time. It's like you think that you don't want to do it, or you never thought you'd be a business owner. I was with you. I was like, I'm just gonna, get paid every 2 weeks and just be okay
Yeah,
with that. But now that I'm like on my own, I'm like, this is fantastic and it's so fun and you learn so much different things and you learn about yourself, you challenge yourself. Like
yeah.
it's a really cool thing. So I'm glad that I'm glad you make the plunge.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I think too, the more I've kind of realized about my personality is I really don't actually like having a boss. I don't like someone telling me what to do every day.
Mhm.
And I feel for every manager that I ever had before I was running the company, because I'm like, I actually was a real pain, I think. Like I really I really did not appreciate an authority figure saying you should be doing this every day and this is when you need to be coming in and this is when you need to be, this is what you need to be doing for your job. I'm really hardworking and I like to work, but I like to work on the things that I want to, focus on. And so I think kind of going back to that advice that, Christina gave me, back in 2020, that's kind of one of the most fun things about being a business owner is that you do get to dictate what you do every day, where you get to say, I really like doing this. And so I'm going to hold on to this. And this is going to be a part of my work. And I don't like doing this. And I'm going to hire someone to do it for me because it's not something I enjoy. And I find it really draining and fatiguing. And I just don't want to do it. And so then you hire someone to do it. And then your day is kind of, you can get in these flow states because your work, I still work, full. I think most weeks I'm working like a 50+ hour week, but it's all on things that I enjoy doing. And so it just really doesn't feel like work.
Yeah, it makes it worth it.
It does. It absolutely does. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna transition into like vendor partnerships and then I want to get
Yeah.
into some fun questions about your events because you have the most beautiful events. Like is so
Thank you.
like the branding behind it, the activations, those little moments, and we'll get into that in a minute. But um because of my background of business development, I have really seen how creating relationships can help grow your business. Like I've been on that side of it. But as a vendor that I've been in the past and as a partner, as a planner for you, where do you see, like, what are your thoughts about your partnerships with your vendors? Obviously, you guys do these crazy designs. You're not like using like cookie cutter type things. Everything's custom. Talk to me a little bit about like your ideas and thoughts around vendor partnerships.
Yeah. I mean, we are nothing without our vendor team. Nothing. And that is our perspective at Glow is, we are the project manager for sure on every single thing. You can think of us as your general contractor where we're going to come in and manage all of the vendors. But ultimately, we're not the ones that are, arranging your flowers or cooking your food or setting up your rentals. All of that comes from our vendors. And if they make a mistake, Glow makes a mistake. And if they do a phenomenal job, Glow does a phenomenal job. And so those relationships are super, super important. We are really loyal to our vendors. If we find someone that we like, we will use them all the time. And that relationship will continue to build and grow. I have, we one thing that you'll hear me say a lot if you're in the office is you treat every single vendor as if they are your client because you never know when they might become your client, and you never know when your client might become your vendor, and you never know when someone from the team becomes your client or becomes your vendor. Like our whole industry is so incestuous in that way, that you really need to be treating every single person as if they're your client. And also, why not? Like, why would we treat our clients differently than anyone else, right? We are truly just human beings existing, and we should be, and everyone's working hard. I would
Mhm.
say if you're in the events industry, you're likely in the events industry not because you fell into it, it's because it's your passion and it's what you love. There's
Mhm.
a whole lot of other jobs you can do that are way easier than event planning, that you should do if you don't like event planning, right? And you're not actually passionate about what you're doing. So when we are interacting with all of our different vendors and, who are incredibly creative and talented, we know that they're working their hardest as well. And we all have the same goal to pull off something exceptional, for our attendees.
I love that because I think that I when I was in my role that I was in, I was like, we have to work together as a partner. Like this
Yeah.
isn't you and the client and the vendor. Like we are a team to like have a common goal. And there's been so many times where a client will or like if I was in the rental company now, a client would almost throw the vendors under the bus, and we're like,
Yeah.
this isn't that's it doesn't feel good, you know. And like your client could be a client one time, but like your vendor partners are forever partners, and so like
Yeah.
it's so important how you treat those relationships. So I love that, and then I personally have always enjoyed working with you because of that. You know, I think that's what makes it fun too, right? Like
Yeah.
working with
And
people who are collaborative.
totally. And I think too, to your point where like, something bad does happen, a mistake is made, and, who is to blame? I think that that's actually the most telling time where you really get to see, how people actually react. And for us, when, like I said at the beginning, if a mistake is made, whether it's from our team or it's from the vendor, it doesn't matter. It's still our mistake and we need to figure it out together. And so if you just, if let's say the wrong thing gets put on the truck, and you're setting up for your event and you have the wrong couches that show up on site, you could call, you have a couple options, right? You can get really upset and you can call the vendor and you can yell at them and you can say, oh my gosh, you messed this whole thing up. Or you can just, approach it as we're a team and we're kind of in this together, we need to work together. So it's like, hey, the wrong thing showed up, what are our options? Is there anyone at the warehouse that can load another truck? How much time would that take? What can we do together? Where else could we pull inventory? Coming up with solutions versus just pointing fingers. And, it's just a waste of time and energy. And when you're in those really intense moments, there's no reason to put that energy towards pointing fingers and yelling and blaming people. You need all of that energy to problem solve. And so, whenever my team, I feel like, is getting stressed out, I'll be like, okay, we're going to take a deep breath. Sometimes I'll tell the girls, I'm like, if you have that personality where you have to feel all of your emotions before you can get to, this solution, then go feel those emotions by yourself. Like go into a corner, cry it out,
Scream it out.
feel it all, and then come back level headed, and then sit and have, come up with a solution for how we're going to solve this problem.
Oh my God. So I'm like, I'm like sweating from all those calls on a Friday of the trucking. Oh my gosh, all the things. Um,
It always happens. There is no event that's ever perfect, but it's your job as the planner to make it look like it's perfect, right? Like there's
totally.
always something that happens, and you just kind of have to be prepared for that. And you're like, okay, you go on site with a problem solving mind, and you're just like, I don't know what is going to happen today, but like something will, and I just need to be ready and prepared and open for it, and then we'll just figure it out.
That is so true. I always tell people, I'm like, we're not saving people's lives. Like we're literally just putting on an event where people come and eat and
Yeah,
drink. Like literally that is it. We are not saving lives. So it's not the end of the world that your napkin color is not the exact color that you thought it was going to be. Like I promise you,
totally.
it's going to
Well,
be
I mean,
okay.
I think it, I think that it too, what I would say is we have clients where, they'll be really upset if they did have the wrong napkin color. So it is one of those things where it's like, it is important. It is something that we want to focus on. It is something that we want to make sure is right. But is it something that we need to lose sleep over? Is it something that we need
Mhm.
to, have an anxiety attack about? Like, I don't think so. Like that's like you
Mhm.
said, we're not saving lives. No one's gonna die at the end of this. We'll figure it out.
Mhm.
And it's tough to have that, I think that to have that mindset of this is something that's important. This is something that we want to make as close to perfect as possible. At the same time, if a mistake is made, it's not the end of the world and we're going to figure it out and your career is not over. No one has died. We will be okay. This will blow over. And being able to kind of have both of those perspectives, which I think is a challenge because normally if you have the perspective of like, oh, we're not saving lives, then you're kind of like, oh, maybe we can be really lackadaisical about this. And you shouldn't. You should be like, we have a really high standard. Um, we want to make it as close to good, but also, yeah, not stressing ourselves out too much.
Totally. So good. How do you keep your team? Obviously you guys are super, super creative. Like, what do you guys do to like kind of like stay on top of trends or to like think out of the box? Like, where does all the creativity like live? Like, do you guys do like all these like crazy creative sessions? Like, I'm like dying to know where you guys come up with these wild ideas.
Yeah, we do actually have a weekly creative meeting, which is super important, I think, to have as a team. So we have it every Thursday at 9:30 and it's an hour long and it's really an open forum. We throughout the week we have just kind of a place where people can post questions or prompts or things that they want to talk about. And then on Thursday we'll pull it up and we'll say, okay, what does the team want to talk about today? And it can vary if someone's working on an event where they want to brainstorm, we'll do a brainstorming session. And I think we've gotten really good at brainstorming. Brainstorming is really powerful when you're doing it with a big team and you have a space where there really are no dumb ideas and everyone's really open and receptive to whatever anyone says. And so those, I think some of our best ideas do come out of a brainstorm.
I love that so much. Okay, I'm dying to know what your favorite event is that you guys have produced. I know you have one.
Oh, there are so many.
Or
I
maybe
mean,
one that's like was the most unique, like most out of the box, probably your most like wow event that you've done.
there are so many. Every single year, I feel like the team is topping the next year, right? It's like every single year, I'm like, oh my gosh, how are we gonna top this? Um, it's so hard to play favorites. So I'm just gonna share the event that's most memorable to me, because I kind of call it my capstone event. I feel like it was the last event I did, and then I was like, okay, I'm done producing. I'm gonna step away and let the team do it. But it was, and I might have talked about this when I did the podcast with you a couple of years ago, but it was the event that we put on in 2021, in May of 2021. It was the very first event we did coming back from the pandemic. California still wasn't open at the time, and so we ended up needing to host everything at private residences since venues weren't open. I think everyone was kind of like half vaccinated at the time, just trying to, we're like, okay, hopefully we're allowed to actually do this. But the event was really special. It was a full weekend kind of celebrating San Francisco, and we bought out three Michelin star restaurants. We did the first night at Quince. We did a lunch at Lazy Bear. Both restaurants hadn't been opened. They actually still technically weren't open. They just were open for us for that event. And then the final night, we somehow managed to get connected with, and we hosted the party at his private residence, which is no longer, he does not own it anymore. But at the time, it was his home and it was in Hillsborough and it was just like a beautiful estate. And so we hosted the final dinner there and we brought in Dominique Crenn of Atelier Crenn. We brought in the San Francisco Ballet and Symphony, and that was the first time that the ballet and symphony had performed in over a year and a half. We and that I think was a really just kind of touching moment for everyone that was a guest involved, where we had gone through so much. I think the events industry had gone through so much. The whole, arts industry had gone through so much, the ballet, the symphony, that they weren't able to perform. And for everyone, still when things were still really scary, for us to be able to pull off something so beautiful where we had this a crazy, 10 course meal with these fabulous wines, sourced all over the world. And then, the ballet and symphony performing, it just was such a special night where it felt like, okay, we're back.
Mhm.
We're getting back to normal. This is good. And then for me, I've been running the company now for a year and a half, and it was kind of this moment and testament of, where I had, all my employees had left. I had to hire a new team. I had to build, and get us to this point for me to say, oh, you can do this. You got, the company to where it is now, and it's running and it's working and it's successful, and you're able to pull off these really high touch programs, and you can keep going and you can do this. And so I'll always kind of look at that one as a
Mhm.
special one, just because there was so much going on at the time, and it really felt like a okay, we
We
can
got
get
this.
through this call. We've got this. Yeah.
We got this. I love your story so much. I love watching you and the events you put on, as I mentioned. Where can people find you, follow you, stalk you, and see your beautiful event designs?
I would say Instagram is a really good spot. I mean, you can go onto our website and you can see some of our work. I try to keep our Instagram though really up to date. I'm normally showcasing a recent event, our stories too. If you like go into the Instagram and you click on the highlights
Mm.
from previous stories, I try to keep those really up to date too. So you can kind of see more of the behind the scenes. You can see more of the team, the things that we're doing every single day. So I'd say that's the best place to find us for sure.
I love it. I will put that link in the show notes. Is there anything else that I missed that you want to talk about? Like what's next for Glow?
Oh my gosh, what is next for Glow? I mean, we did a lot last year. We last year
Y'all, we're gonna
last
slow
year was
down.
a yeah, I'm like, I want to slow down. But no, last year we ended up getting a new office space that I'm so proud of. And it was a real labor of love, getting it to where it is. And so, where are we going next? I feel like just kind of more of the same a
Mhm.
little bit. Like I'm never going to try to grow Glow into this like crazy big thing. We're going to stay really boutique and high touch. If anything, we're just kind of pushing the boundaries on the events that we do. I want to see things that are more custom, more fabricated, more unique. Whimsical, out of the box. That's really where we're taking things. We're probably saying no to a lot of business that doesn't really align with the creative that we like to work on. We're really selective as to the clients we work with. And so the projects I would say that you're going to start seeing this year and next year and the year after are just going to be kind of bigger, more beautiful, even more well designed and unique. Because that's where I want to take the company. That's what my employees want to be working on. They like those challenges. When we get asked to do something really crazy, I'll look at them and I'll be like, "Can we do this?" And they're like, "Yeah, we
Yeah.
can figure this out. Absolutely." I'm like, "Okay, then let's go. Like let's see what we've got."
Oh my God, I love that so much. Thank you so much for being here. It was so great to catch
Yeah.
up with you and see what's going on in your world. And yeah, thank you.